Hey guys! In today's video, I wanted to share a bunch of do's and don'ts for healthy hair. Now, of course, everybody's hair is different and it'll react, to what you do to it in different ways, but all of these are kind of hair care basics, I feel like, that should work for most people. So without further ado, let's jump straight into them because I have a bunch. Do use an oil on your ends. This is the one tip I think I have shared the most in my 10-year career as a hair YouTuber. Using a little bit of natural oil on the ends of your hair makes the biggest difference to the way your hair looks. And I feel like this works for all hair types. And depending on whether your hair is dry or coarse, frizzy, thin, you just have to adjust the amount of oil that you use. But a little bit of oil on the ends and lengths of your hair always works perfectly. Oil helps to moisturize your hair, it helps to add shine, it helps to keep it in good condition, and there are just so many benefits to just using a few drops. So what I like to do is to apply a few drops of oil as a leave-in treatment after I've washed my hair. So after it's towel dry, but before I go on to let it air dry or blow dry. And also whenever I wake up in the morning and I feel like my hair is just looking a bit frizzy or dry, I will apply literally like 2 or 3 drops from my hair, and I'll start at the ends and kind of work my way up through my hair, and this just makes the biggest difference to the condition of my hair. Can highly recommend. Don't overwash or underwash your hair. Now I feel like where a few years back the trend was to kind of wash your hair at least every day, we have now shifted to the other side where the thing has become not washing your hair for as long as possible. But I feel like, as with everything, there is a happy medium that is kind of the best way to go. So you definitely don't want to overwash your hair, because washing your hair too often can irritate the scalp. You're stripping the skin of its natural kind of oils and sebums. Washing hair too often can actually increase oil production because your scalp is trying to keep itself moisturized by producing more oils, the more you keep stripping it. Washing hair too often, shampooing too often also kind of dries out the hair. So you definitely don't want to wash your hair too often. And I would say every single day is probably too often in most cases. Now, on the other hand, I'd say the bare minimum is once a week. I have found my happy medium at 2 times a week at least, and that is when I'm not working out a lot. But how often you need to wash your hair very much depends on your hair type, but your lifestyle as well. So if your hair gets very greasy quickly, or if you work out a lot and you tend to sweat, if you use a lot of dry shampoo on a regular basis, if you have a lot of product buildup in your hair, then you may need to wash your hair a little bit more often. So maybe once every 2 or 3 days. Having a lot of buildup in your hair can clog the pores, and it can result in a kind of itchy, flaky, oily scalp, which is not good for the health of your hair either. So try to find that happy medium that works best for you. Do use the right products for your hair type and your lifestyle. It is quite important to find the right hair products for you. So you want to consider your hair type. So is your hair dry? Is it greasy? Is it thin? Is it unruly and kind of frizzy? Do you have a problematic scalp? Is it either dry and itchy, or is it too oily? But also, like I said, do you work out a lot? Do you use many styling products on a daily basis? And that includes a dry shampoo. So how much stuff do you actually pile onto your hair on a daily basis? Take all of that into consideration and choose products that fit that. So there are loads of different shampoos that you can choose from, lots of different conditioners, leave-in treatments. So for example, if you have a scalp that produces a lot of oil and you wash your hair more frequently, it may be a good idea to choose a milder shampoo that won't kind of overstimulate the oil production in your scalp and will help calm everything down while still giving you the clean that you need. Well, on the other hand, if you use a lot of products and you have like 3 days of dry shampoo buildup, it may be a good idea to use a little bit of a harsher shampoo that will just strip all of that right off and leave you with a clean slate again. And the same thing goes if your hair is finer, then you probably want to use a little bit of a lighter conditioner and lighter leave-in treatments than if you have super curly, kinky hair that just needs a lot of moisture to kind of keep a nice shape. Don't apply conditioners and moisturizers too close to your scalp. And I feel like this goes for most hair types. You won't want to apply too rich and moisturizing products near your scalp, because that will kind of enhance the greasy look of hair. And I feel like you want to keep this area, like the area that's closest to your scalp, as clear of kind of product buildup as possible. So what I always like to do is I apply all of my kind of more moisturizing treatments on my ends first and then work my way up, and I stop about maybe 5 to 10 centimeters off my roots. So I'll go up to about my ears and then I'll just lightly go over the top like that, just the top layer, and that's pretty much where I apply my moisturizing products. Do brush your hair from the bottom to the top. One of the worst things you can do for your hair when it's tangled is to take a brush and kind of just rip it through your hair, tearing out all of those tangles and knots. Rather than doing that, try to start at the bottom and slowly work your way up. So take your brush just straight to your ends, start brushing it out, taking all the tangles out, then move up a little bit, start brushing down again, and move your way up like that, so that you're always kind of running your brush through the smoothest part of your hair rather than just kind of ripping it down and then getting stuck halfway through and having to kind of push it through. It doesn't work as well. It'll break your hair, it'll result in a lot of damage. It's much more painful to do it that way. So really just try to brush your hair gently, starting from the bottom. Don't brush wet hair. Wet hair is a lot more fragile than dry hair, and when hair is wet, I'm sure you've noticed it just kind of stretches very easily, and that damages it very badly, can sort of result in breakage, makes the hair much weaker. So if you are determined to detangle wet hair, then just use a wide tooth comb, and again go very gently, start at the bottom, work your way up, but preferably dry your hair first and then detangle it using that technique that I just talked about. Do clean your hair tools regularly. So by hair tools, I mean brushes, combs, curling irons, straightening irons. Pretty much anything that goes into your hair, you do want to clean it regularly. All of the stuff that builds up, so the oils from your scalp, but also the products that you use, also build up on your hair tools. So you definitely want to give them a clean regularly, not just to stop bacteria from spreading, which of course is very important, but also to prevent all of that stuff getting back into your hair when it's clean and you go to brush it again. You don't want to just kind of pile all of that dirt back on. So give your hair tools, and especially your brushes and combs, regular cleanings. I have a video where I kind of talk about the best ways to do this. So I will link that video in the info card right here. Don't heat style your hair daily. Heat styling is one of the most damaging things you can do to your hair, so if it's not absolutely necessary, then try not to heat style your hair every single day. Try to keep heat styling to a minimum as much as you can, and that includes blow drying as well. If you're not washing your hair daily, then you should be able to keep a nicely styled hairdo for the duration of your kind of in between washes. If you, for example, curl your hair on the first day, try to carry those curls through to the end until you wash your hair again, so that you can kind of limit the amount of time you have to heat style your hair. The way I personally like to do it is when I've curled my hair, for example, right now I'm wearing second day curls. So what I did last night before I went to bed is I kind of took these curls, the big ones that you kind of see forming on themselves, and I kind of roll them up like that. I'll roll them all the way up to my scalp and then pin them down like that, and that is how I sleep in my curls. And then when you wake up, they still look good, still look nice. You just brush them through really quickly and they look as good as new again. So you can do the same thing with kind of when you've straightened your hair, just wear it in a protective style at night and try and carry that style through to the end of your kind of washing period. And if you are using heat tools on your hair, try to use the lowest possible setting. So the lowest setting that'll still style your hair is the best thing to do for your hair. And definitely when you're drying it and you're only using the blow dryer to actually dry your hair, you can definitely get away with using a lower setting. It might take a little bit more time, but it's definitely worth it. Your hair will thank you for it. Do get regular trims. I used to be very bad with this. When I was a teen and when I first started my YouTube channel, some of you may remember, all I wanted was to grow my hair out really, really long. And it makes sense. Of course, it does make sense. The way I tried to do that was by simply not cutting my hair. But I have found actually giving your hair regular trims makes it grow much nicer. It helps keep your ends in a better condition. It stops the damage from kind of traveling up the hair. It makes your overall hairstyle look nicer, and I feel like it just really helps the health of your hair and the way it looks. So if you are trying to grow your hair, you don't have to get big trims, but just regular, like super tiny trims, just really snipping off the ends is quite a good thing to do, especially when you notice that your ends are starting to split, kind of break. Then you may want to consider going for a tiny little trim, which by the way, you can definitely do yourself. Don't sleep on wet hair. This is my personal biggest hair sin. For some reason, I am actively working on this, but I still struggle with this so much, and not sleeping on wet hair. It's just kind of in my routine and I'm trying to get it out. I have been for years. Anyway, sleeping on wet hair, very bad. For the same reasons that you shouldn't brush wet hair, sleeping on it kind of does the same thing. If you're as an active sleeper as I am, I just roll around a lot. My hair just gets tangled all over. Sleeping on wet hair can be really damaging when you do it like that. It takes a lot longer to air dry when you're lying on it because, you know, no air can get to it. Plus, it often makes it come out really weird in the morning when you've been kind of lying on it strange and it just dries up in a weird shape. Just try not to do that. Do sleep with a protective style in your hair. I have a whole video on different hairstyles that I like to, you know, do in my hair when I go to bed. Again, if you're a more kind of active sleeper that moves around a lot, you may want to consider wearing your hair in a protective style when you go to sleep, just to protect it from all of that friction and all of that damage that can happen throughout the night. Now, I know that some people swear by using silk pillowcases. It doesn't have to be real silk, it can be, you know, artificial silk, but that material is just really smooth and really gentle on the hair. I personally haven't tried silk pillowcases, but I know that many people absolutely swear by them for the health of their hair. And speaking of protective styles, consider wearing them in autumn and winter when you're going outside as well. If you live in a cold climate that gets very rainy and windy and just super cold outside, this is something that can really help keep your hair healthy and protected from the elements. So I know, for example, that around this time of year I start wearing hats and scarves and I really get bundled up in a jacket and a coat, and then it's super windy out. So what I like to do is just pop my hair in a low bun, then I tuck it into my scarf and it's just out of the way. I don't have to worry about it. It doesn't get tangled in the wind. It's not exposed to the cold as much and the rain, and it's just nicer for me so that it doesn't get tangled up in my scarf and in my hat and things like that. So that's something to consider if you live in a similar climate. So those are the do's and don'ts for healthy hair that I wanted to share with you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any kind of key hair care tips that I haven't shared in this video, please feel free to share them in the comments below. We can all help each other out down there. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for loads more beauty and lifestyle content. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, there's a link in the description bar below. Thank you so much for your support. There's another video here that you may also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!